Hello tennis fans and bettors. The Indian Wells BNP Paribas Open 2025 is here. One of the biggest tournaments outside the Grand Slams. And this year's edition is brimming with storylines and betting opportunities. Our AI has crunched the numbers and trends from the men's and women's draws to give you a leg up. Will Carlos Alcaraz make history with a third straight title? Can Iga Swiatek three-peat on the women's side? Or are we in for surprises from rising stars and savvy veterans? Let's dive into the major news, odds and AI predictions for Indian Wells. Tournament overview. Indian Wells is often called the fifth slam because the field is that strong. It runs from March 2nd to 16th, and by the end, we'll see who lifts the trophies on Championship Sunday. Conditions. It's a hard court but plays slightly slower due to desert air and a gritty surface. That tends to help all-court players like Alcaraz and Swiatek who can construct points. Now on to key contenders and news on the men's side. Men's draw highlights. Carlos Alcaraz. The 21-year-old phenom is the two-time defending champion here. He's looking for a rare three-peat, something only Federer and Djokovic have done at Masters events. Alcaraz's game is tailor-made for Indian Wells. He's super fast and can handle the slowish court, and the high bounce sits up for his heavy topspin forehand. Notably, one of his main rivals, Jannik Sinner, is out injured, which removes a big obstacle. Alcaraz's form in 2025 has been great. He won a title in February and our AI marks him as the man to beat. Bookmakers agree. His outright odds are likely around plus 200 2-1 as the favorite. It's worth mentioning, if Alcaraz wins, he'd join an elite group. Pressure is on, but he's shown he thrives under it. Novak Djokovic. The GOAT contender is back in California after years of missing US events. Remarkably, he hasn't won Indian Wells since 2016. Last year he had a shock early exit in the third round to Luca Nardi, an upset he'll want to avenge. Djokovic comes in motivated and possibly slightly under the radar. He skipped some February events to rest, so he'll be fresh. The AI factors in that Djokovic historically rebounds strong after poor showings. And Indian Wells is one of the few big titles he hasn't won recently, so he's hungry. Odds-wise, Djokovic might be the second favorite around plus 300 or plus 400. AI insight. His draw placement is key. If he's on Alcaraz's side, they could collide in the semifinals or final. If he avoids Alcaraz until the final, his chances to get there are very high given his dominance over other players. Daniil Medvedev. Medvedev reached the final here the last 2 years, losing to Alcaraz each time. Lately, Medvedev has hit a rough patch with some surprising losses. But he loves slow hard courts, and he's a former IW finalist and US Open champion. Medvedev's outright odds might be around plus 600. If he's in Alcaraz's half, that'd be a blockbuster semi-final. Medvedev will want to avoid an early upset. Maybe a name like Andy Murray or a big server in his section could trouble him early. He's also historically had issues with extreme conditions, such as wind, which has bothered him at Indian Wells. Taylor Fritz and Tommy Paul, Americans. Taylor Fritz won Indian Wells in 2022, shockingly beating Nadal in the final. He calls this his home tournament as a Southern California native. Fritz is now a top 5 player and playing well. He thrives in these conditions, and the crowd will be 100% behind him. AI notes that Fritz tends to elevate his game at Indian Wells. He has beaten top players here before. His odds are around plus 800, making him a solid dark horse pick. Tommy Paul is another American who had a breakout run last year, reaching the semifinals. He nearly made the final in 2024, losing a tough semi to Medvedev. The AI gives Paul a puncher's chance to go deep, especially if the draw opens up. He's had success against top players in the best-of-3 format. Women's draw highlights. Iga Swiatek, the world number 2 and defending champion at Indian Wells. She won last year without dropping a set. However, she's in a bit of a title drought since winning the French Open last year. Still, Swiatek loves Indian Wells. The slow, high-bounce courts suit her heavy topspin and athletic defense. If she wins here, she becomes the first woman to win 3 Indian Wells titles since the 1990s. The AI sees her as a favorite, but not overwhelming. Maybe a 30% chance to win per odds, plus 250. A concern. A young 17-year-old just beat her in Dubai. Mirra Andreeva. Meet the latest teen phenom. 17-year-old Mirra Andreeva from Russia just skyrocketed up the rankings. She won the Dubai tournament in February, beating Swiatek and Rybakina on the way. She's now in the top 10 at just 17, the youngest since 2007. Indian Wells will be her first event as a top 10 seed. The AI warns that while she's red hot, the pressure and slower conditions could test her patience. But she has fearless hitting. Her odds might be plus 800 to plus 1,000, reflecting an outside chance but definite contention. Coco Gauff. The American superstar turned 21 during this tournament. Coco made the semifinals here last year. Her best showing. She also won the WTA Finals year-end championship in 2024 and is entrenched as world number 3. Crucially, no American woman has won Indian Wells in 24 years. Coco would love to end that drought as a birthday gift to herself. The conditions suit her game. She's fast and can play defense, which is important at Indian Wells. The AI sees her as a strong title threat. Her odds might be plus 600, making her the third favorite. If the bracket favors her and she avoids Swiatek until the final, she could win it. Aryna Sabalenka. World number 1 and reigning Australian Open champion. Sabalenka is a powerhouse and has been extremely consistent. However, slow courts can frustrate her if she makes errors. She has never won Indian Wells. The AI thinks she might be a bit vulnerable early. Maybe an upset in the 4th round or quarterfinals could happen if someone like Jelena Ostapenko or a crafty player catches her. Her odds are around plus 400, making her the second favorite behind Swiatek. Betting trends and AI picks. For the men's side, Alcaraz is the clear favorite but at low odds. Our AI actually likes a couple of dark horses. Taylor Fritz at around 8 to 1. He's done it before and he's in form, plus he has less pressure than Alcaraz or Djokovic. Casper Ruud could be a sneaky pick if he has found form. The slow courts can help his heavy topspin game. As for Djokovic, the AI thinks he at least makes the semifinals. For the women's side, Coco Gauff has strong value. Ending the American drought and her consistency on hard courts make her an appealing bet. Andreeva is a high-risk, high-reward bet. At 10 to 1, the hype is real, but can she handle back-to-back deep runs? Swiatek is the logical pick but does not offer much value at maybe 3 to 1. Another interesting long shot is Ons Jabeur, as her skillful play and drop shots on these courts can trouble opponents. AI final predictions. Men's champion, Carlos Alcaraz. He is dominant at Indian Wells, and the AI gives him a strong probability of winning. Women's champion, Coco Gauff. The AI leans toward her, predicting she could end the American title drought. One thing is for sure. Indian Wells 2025 is set to be a tournament to remember. Best of luck with your bets.